Alright, welcome back to the channel, guys. Hope life is treating you well. I do have an update on my bike saga. So it's official, I did list this bike for sale on eBay. My self-converted, beloved bike with a 60-volt battery. It's running at 1500 watts right now. And I think $2,000 is a pretty fair price. If you guys are interested, I'll leave the bike linked down below. So that means right now both this bike and my Fido T1 are listed for sale. And I did that in order to force myself to buy a new bike once these officially sell, which is something I've been talking about doing for a long time. And that new bike, I decided, is going to be a Sur-Ron, simply because the bike does phenomenal on YouTube. I mean, if you search Sur-Ron versus any other bike, the results, the views aren't even close. And ultimately, I'm trying to run a business here. So yeah, we're letting fate decide whether or not we pick up a Sur-Ron. See if we can get 2,000 bucks for this, 1,000 for the T1, which, considering the T1 is brand new due to the recall, I can't imagine not being able to get 1,000 bucks for it, although it has been listed for sale for like about a month already, and nothing yet. Oh yeah, and also today we're using the new camera, the DJI Action 3, and I'm filming in 2.7K. I like filming in 2.7K because 1080p is, I mean, it's not 2012 anymore, but 4K, especially on an action camera, is a little bit overkill in my opinion. 2.7K, it's like right in that sweet spot. It doesn't take up too much data on my laptop when editing. It's easier to work with. And on YouTube, it still has a higher bit rate. So, you know, the footage looks pretty solid once you upload it. But the big thing is I'm using 60 frames per second right now. Every other video on this channel ever has been 30 FPS. So let me know, 60 FPS. I think the big difference is when I look left to right. This is obviously a lot smoother. So let me know what you think of that. And if you'd excuse me, I have to do some banking. Okay, so with that out of the way, today I want to take you guys down memory lane and talk about Monday motorbikes. I'm sure some of you guys have to be aware of this company. They are one of the original e-bike manufacturers. They were never quite as popular as Onyx, Super 73, but they came into existence, they entered the market at roughly the same time. The first wave of these high-end electric bikes. Can I just like pop this very high curb? This is a very high curb. So yeah, when it comes to Monday as a company, not the day of the week, They sell many different models. Some are actually quite affordable. They're most well known for their high-end, most powerful, and most expensive bike. And this was, back in the day, the Gen 7. Do you guys remember this? This was a super funky looking bike. First of all, it was a mid-drive, which, you know, that's cool. What is this, like a mini town? What is this place? I think this is a dead end. What does this sign say? Lease office. Or okay, this is definitely, ooh, a gym in there. So yeah, the Gen 7 powerful mid-drive motor. I think the rated power was 10 kilowatts. Super powerful. Although the raw performance, from what I can recall, wasn't like industry leading or anything, which is kind of funky. Maybe that's one of the reasons why it wasn't that popular and the Onyx kind of overshadowed it. But aside from the motor, I would say the other standout deviation here is the design. You can see they decided to go with more of a motorcycle look. The bike almost looks like it has a gas tank. Of course, that's where the battery is, but they made it look like a gas tank for some unknown reason. Okay, this light is never going to change for me. So yeah, funky design. Also the wheels. You see how skinny those tires are? That does not seem safe to me at high speeds. And the whole thing costs around $4,500. Again, very similar to the Onyx, at least back in the day. But the reason why I'm talking about this bike is because they just came out with a new model to replace this, a new high-end bike from Monday. And it's called the, what's it called? It's some weird name. It's like the piezo, something really odd sounding. And immediately by just looking at the bike, we can see that it looks more polished, grown up, a little bit less funky. The wheels have a normal width to them. Perhaps the biggest difference actually is the suspension. So this has a monoshock configuration instead of that dual shock in the back. And if you guys follow the channel, you know that the monoshock configuration close to the pivot point is far superior in terms of mechanical leverage. But then we can see other things, like that fake gas tank is still there. In fact, I would say most of the design is kind of the same. That guy almost took me out. I do have to admit, it does look better in this reincarnated form than the Gen 7. Still not my favorite. Oh yeah, and the motor. They changed the motor from a weird mid-drive to a weird hub motor. They also lowered the power quite significantly. So the Gen 7 was 10 kilowatts, and this is only 2 kilowatts. Still plenty of power, but not crazy powerful. Although they did make it a point to say that this is a custom designed motor, and it's designed to be resilient, because apparently they have like delivery drivers and people like that in mind that need to ride the bike in all weather conditions. So it should be a resilient, waterproof motor design. And that motor is being fed by actually a 72 volt battery. You can get it in two separate capacities, either I think it's 33 amp hours or 40 amp hours at 72 volts. That's pretty impressive. Any way you slice it, that's a good battery. Now, if you guys had a guess, how much do you think this bike cost? So the original Gen 7 a couple of years ago was $4,500, but since then, a ton of inflation. Things just generally are more expensive, especially electronics. And as we discussed, this has a beefy motorcycle design to it, a 2,000 watt hub motor, a large 72 volt battery, and it also has things like motorcycle caliper brakes. But the whole thing comes in at $4,600, at least for the smaller battery capacity version, which still isn't really that small. That's not bad at all. The Onyx with the 41 amp hour battery is $5,700. So that's a pretty big difference. And as mentioned, Monday as a company has a whole lineup of bikes, and they only get cheaper from this model. And I gotta say, some of them actually look very attractive. So Monday has never been a company I look at when I'm looking to buy a new bike. But maybe you should. A couple of years ago with the Gen 7 versus the Onyx, yeah, it wasn't really that close. The Onyx was just a much better all-around machine. But now, with this new, upgraded, more polished version against a more expensive Onyx, it makes a lot more sense. But of course, you guys know the drill. I love to hear your thoughts and opinions, any concerns in the comments below. I hope you guys deeply enjoyed the video. If you did, a like is always appreciated, subscribing for future content, and if you're interested in buying this bike, it is for sale right now on eBay, 2,000 bucks. It's linked down below. But regardless, that's gonna be it for this one. I'll catch you guys in the next one.